Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Woman's Cave. Yes, I actually waited for the red light to say that we're recording. It's blinking in the corner, so I know we're recording. Otherwise, normally I just rush to say it, and I normally have a Jade. There's no Jade over there. See, no Jade. So normally I have a Jade to sit over there, and then she's like, "Hey, I get it done first," and she waits for the red light. I don't know how she does it every time. It's kind of upsetting. Or maybe it's just because, as she said in my last, in our last show, maybe my words are a little old and fat. That might have been it. I said that my words were heavy, like, and mature, and that's why I talk a little slower. And she was like, "Oh, so your words are old and fat, understandable." And I was like, "Oh, okay, that works." And then we had our co-host, and our co-host was like, "Oh, too mean, too mean." I was like, "It's perfectly fine with me." All right, now I've done my banter part. Let's talk about our books, otherwise known as literary life guides with poetry. I know I just saw one of the other books around here, but it doesn't matter. So we have And I Thought Divorce Was Bad, And I Thought Being Grown Up Was Easy. Boom. And then the other ones are And I Thought I Did My Journey Alone, and those can be found on Amazon.com, BarnesandNobles.com. And yes, those are audiobooks. Now we have And I Thought I Did My Journey Alone, which is also on Amazon.com. And then If Only I Were Me, which is solely on BarnesandNobles.com. That is the top 4 out of the 20-some books that we have. Oh, I lied to you. I'm doing a 5th one because Jade's not here. The 5th one is the book that just went number one bestseller for multiple days, and we're still on the list for like 3 weeks now. And that is The Women's Cave Pop Poems, A Misfit Guide. You can check all those out at www.andwethought.com. And that's where you can find everything that your ladies have been up to, including the podcast that I'll talk about when we are at the end of this show. In the meantime, you're not here to hear anything else about me, although I wish I could have this whole show talking about myself. From my perspective, you're here to hear about our wonderful guests. Wonderful guests, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hello, I am Jeffe Kennedy. I'm an author of fantasy and romance, usually where they intersect, and I am coming to you from beautiful Santa Fe, New Mexico.
New Mexico! Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm veering off. I did not say this when we first started the show. So if you talk about travel, liquor, or food, I tend to just go off on a side road. I'm going on a side road, y'all. New Mexico. Is it awesome there? Because Jade's dad, every time we're like, "Hey, we should do a vacation, Jade and I, and bring your dad just in case, gotta have a guy there for security." Anyway,
Yes.
he's like, "New Mexico?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, it's never gonna be New Mexico." But is it
Oh,
cool?
New Mexico is beautiful. It's incredible here. You should come. And if you ever come to Santa Fe, I'll play tour guide.
Really? Okay, we're going.
Seriously, yeah. We have amazing restaurants. We have uh, international travelers who come here for art. There's all kinds of amazing art. There's the Meow Wolf Interactive Museum, which is way cooler than it sounds. And we have Indian ruins. We have cave dwellings that you can actually climb up into and sit in and feel what it was like to be living inside of them. Beautiful mountains, rivers, lakes. The landscape's incredible.
We're coming. Yeah. As soon as this COVID thing is over, we'll be
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
We're already going to Vegas, so we might as well just pop on down to New Mexico and come back up to Vegas.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's actually not that long of a drive from Las Vegas to here.
I hear that all the time. Everyone's like, "You should just go, just drive down," and I'm like, "What's there?" But now that you've explained it, I'm coming. Oh my goodness. Oh, Jade's dad will finally get his wish. New Mexico. Okay. Now I need to refocus and put my professional on. That never
All
happened.
right. Enough about New Mexico.
Let's talk about your books. So I love it when people find like a nice niche on the intersection of romance and fantasy. How did you
Yes.
come up with that? What was your inspiration from?
Well, it was kind of an accident. I began writing just how the stories came to me, and I didn't. When I first started writing fantasy romance or romantic fantasy wasn't even really a genre. I was very influenced by the books of authors like Anne McCaffrey and Mercedes Lackey. I have always read both science fiction, fantasy, and romance. And so what I write is really a response to like all of the wonderful epic fantasy that I love to read, only with more kissing.
I like it. That's okay, I like sci-fi, certain types of sci-fi, not all sci-fi. But I do like sci-fi and some fantasy, and there's a lot. They're so long and they're so beautiful. And yes, all they needed was more kissing. So thank you for adding that.
You're welcome. Just for
Oh,
you.
all right. I know. I love it when the world revolves around me. Anyway, moving back to like real life. How long does it normally take you to like write a book?
Um, my friends call me the spreadsheet queen because I'm actually pretty meticulous about tracking everything I do on spreadsheets so I can sort of learn my own process. And so I know a unusually precise answer to that question. Uh, a novel takes me somewhere between 55 to 65 working days to draft, and then usually about 10 working days to revise substantially.
I love the fact that you have an answer to that. I do too. I normally have an answer to that, and people go,
Yeah.
"Oh, you know?" And I'm like, "Of course I know. That's why
It's
I
like
procrastinate."
how can you promise stuff if you don't know the answer to that question?
Exactly. Okay, Jade has a migraine, so she's not on camera in front of the lights, but she's behind there using her sign language skills to be like, "Let's talk about scheduling." So yes, I'm saying don't forget to ask about scheduling.
Okay. The
Right?
universal sign for scheduling.
So can you please tell me how do you schedule the time to write your book?
Well, now I am a full-time author, and so that makes things a little bit easier. But for about the first 20 years of my writing career, I also had a full-time career job. And so I wrote in the mornings, and that was when I got pretty meticulous about following a schedule because I'm a big believer in that that you're never going to find the time to write, you have to make the time to write. And so I would write in the mornings before I started the day job. And my schedule is generally that I try to write 3,000 words a day, 5 days a week. And I do that in 3 or 4 1 hour sessions every morning while walking up my walking desk.
Nice. Okay, first of all, I love the fact that you have a walking desk. So
It's
this is
amazing.
so you're always in tour shape then. You're ready to
Yes.
go on tour. Ah,
Yes. It's one of the best things I ever did for my health. About 6 years ago, I got it because I was reading all those articles about how like sitting was the new smoking, and I was no longer a spring chicken, and I was sort of feeling the spread of sitting. And so I got the walking desk, and I haven't turned back. It's just been amazing.
I can concur with you there about sitting. So I we tend to have a very very active lifestyle. So we go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, and we always work out. And this is the first time when we have actually sat down for like not 8 months now. Is it 8 months, 9 months, something like that?
It's 9 months or 5 years. I always forget.
9 months, 5 years. Let's go with that. Let's go with that.
Okay.
So we started sitting, and all of a sudden I was like, everything hurts. And
It's amazing.
we didn't know what was going on, and we interviewed somebody and they were like, well, yeah, they ended up being a full-time writer, and so they were writing like at 6 to 8 hour stints, and they were like, I was sitting and my muscles locked up so bad I ended up in the hospital, and we were like, what, that can happen? So we got up and started exercising harder, like, so the amount of time that we would be out, we would like doing stuff, and everything went back to normal. It's weird.
It's weird. Bodies aren't made to sit still all the time.
But you know how happy you feel while you're sitting? I don't understand. It was the best thing ever. So okay, my next to the last question is about your publishing and pantsing and of course plotting, but you already did the pantsing and plotting question. So let's go with how you feel about the process of publishing your book.
Well, I'm a hybrid author, so I do both traditional publishing and self-publishing. And it's, the two processes have a lot of things in common, but and they each have their own joys and frustrations. Congratulations on the number one spot, by the way. That's super cool. Not always something that we can control. So, uh, yeah, I really love having both. I love uh, sort of taking advantage of the perks of both and using um, the one to compensate for the other. Like self-publishing is great because it helps even out your income. You get those nice little monthly dividends. Traditional publishing, it's great to have a team on your side working with you and doing the investment and so forth, and they can open some doors that self-publishing still doesn't. So it's great to be able to do both. We're really lucky that we have uh, those options now.
Yes, yes. I know a lot of authors who supplement their income by self-publishing, or some of them, because they had a traditional base, have moved over to self-publishing, and they're just, ooh, I like their checks.
Checks are nice. We like money.
Oh yes, we do enjoy checks. Um, so you also have a podcast.
I do have a podcast, First Cup of Coffee with Jeffe Kennedy, obviously. I do that 4 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. And I chat over my first cup of coffee of the day for 15, 20 minutes and just kind of talk about what's going on in my life or whatever I'm thinking about, thoughts on publishing, both self-publishing and traditional publishing, books that I'm reading, movies, so forth.
So I have to ask this question because I am the narcissist between me and Jade. So voila, I have to ask.
It's good that there's only one of you.
Yes, otherwise the egos get in the way. I remember I was talking to a talent manager once and I said, "What is the hardest part about your job?" And she says, "Managing egos. Managing the talent, that's easy. Managing the egos of the talent, it's a bit harder." Um,
I'll bet.
oh my goodness. So I have to ask, have you ever thought about having someone else like moi come and have chat with you over your first cup of coffee about, I don't know, self-publishing, maybe?
Sure, that would be fun if you wanted to. I occasionally have guest interviews. In fact, just yesterday I had author Nalini Singh on the podcast, and we geeked out over shapeshifting and stuff. So it's great to have people come and chat.
Oh, okay. I was half joking because we write poetry. So it's like, does that even fit? No. So wait, how are you alert enough to do anything over your first cup of coffee?
Well, I wake up in the morning and I exercise first. So I alternate running and lifting weights each morning and then do things, like feed the cats and then do my hair and my makeup. And then I get on. And so by the time I sit down for my first cup of coffee, I've usually been awake for a couple hours.
That is nice. We can do all that. And if Jade hasn't had her first cup of coffee, it does not count.
Ah,
Get up, mow the lawn, start a fire in the fireplace, do everything. If I don't have my first cup of coffee till 2 in the afternoon, I'm not awake. My day doesn't start until after the first and somewhere in between the second, like first and a half. I'm allergic to
I,
coffee. I don't have those stories.
I enjoy my coffee, but I don't really need it to get stimulated. All of my drugs of choice are soothers and downers because I tend to be kind of more on the hyper side.
Oh, yes, I understand that. Um, so I want to ask a question, although we are over time, I still want to ask my question about touring. I've been mentioning touring and you've been nodding, so I want to know how your tour life goes.
How my what life goes?
Book tour. You go on book
Oh, book tour. Well, there's been nothing this year.
tour. Yeah, definitely. That's one of the reasons I want to know because I just want to reminisce. You remember?
Oh, I see. Yeah, back in the old days, it's, you know, I normally travel a fair amount. I didn't realize how much I traveled until now I can't. And, going to conferences, I'm pretty much an introvert. I like being at home and all of that, but I hadn't realized how much going to conferences and to bookstores and so forth, like, filled my need for social stuff. And when this book came out, The Fiery Crown, came out May 26th this year, and I had all of these great things lined up. I was supposed to be in Los Angeles at the Nebula conference. We were going to have a mass autographing there. I had a launch party at the Ripped Bodice, and then a reading the following week at Mysterious Galaxy. And these were all things that had been on my bucket list. And of course, nothing. Didn't get to do any of it, and it was all just not as bad as what so many people have suffered during the pandemic, but it's like, wow, the year that wasn't.
Yeah, yeah. I think everyone's like, this was going to be the best year ever, like schedule wise. I was like, we should have known something was up when this was the best year ever.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
Maybe now we won't be so cavalier about saying that anymore.
Hmm. I'm
Because
thinking about.
people, I've been hearing that people have been saying 2021 will be better, and other people are like,
Oh, that's something I'm not going to discuss while being recorded. But yeah, no. I have thoughts and theories, but nah. I feel like they're just I think saying best year ever for 2021 or can't wait for 2021 is now still divisive.
Oh, yeah, I could see that. I
Yeah.
mean, we have so much work to do, so much ground to recover.
Ugh. All right, let's try to end on a happy note.
Happy note.
So you
Okay.
have finished your word count for the day. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're working on, or is that just a hush hush secret?
No, I can talk about it. It's already on pre-order, so I'm ready for that. It's called The Golden Griffin and the Bear Prince, which is an unusual title for me, but I was having fun with it. I just was in an anthology, a midwinter holiday anthology called Under a Winter Sky, with authors Melissa Marr, Kelly Armstrong, Leslie Penelope, and Grace Draven. And my novella in that is called The Long Night of the Crystalline Moon. And it's an alternate world midwinter feast, kind of solstice festival. And there's a special full moon that night in a particular party. And I introduce a bunch of characters in this novella. And then that's the prequel to The Golden Griffin and the Bear Prince, which is book one in a new 4-book series that I'm doing.
Wow. I'm seriously looking forward to it. So I want to thank you so much for continuously writing and for being a full-time author now, which means books are coming so much faster.
Well, you're welcome.
Oh, no one cares that we're full-time authors. They're like, but how? But oh my goodness. So tell everyone where they can find these books and your podcast so they can join you over their first cup of coffee, even though they're not awake yet.
That's fine because it's recorded. You can listen whenever. So you can find me at jeffekennedy.com. And I cross post the podcast to my blog. So if you look at the top of the menu, there's the link for podcasts or blog. Well, either way, will get you there.
Thank you so much for coming today. By the way, I recognize that I did what we always say we might do when we start the interviews, which is forget to introduce ourselves. And
Ah,
it's not, yeah. I'm Winona. I have talked a lot about the missing Jade, who's normally over there. But
Jade,
I'm,
who is a bouquet of silk
yes,
flowers.
okay today. Doesn't she look, I think the makeup was impeccable.
It is lovely. Beautiful blush.
Exactly. Yeah, so I'm Winona and I'm part of the Anti Thought Ladies. And as I said before, we write books and you can find everything that your ladies are doing at www.andwethought.com. While you're there, go to the homepage, and I'm going to do something Jade never allows me to do. And you can go see the Ladies Tale podcast, which I forgot which corner it's on. I think it's the right. I'm gonna go with the right. It might be the left corner. Anyway, it's the blue box, the blue square. And you can hear the Ladies Tale podcast where professional actors read my script. Here's my script book. Okay, there we go. I just wanted to show my script book off. And while you're there, also take a moment, go to the ladies tab. This is more important than, professional actors reading my script. Go down to the middle of the page and you can see the charities that we proudly support. You can support them too. We know that 2020 is a little funny when it comes to the money area. So maybe you don't have money, but you can support them with things that you might have cleaned out, or maybe you have skills that they could use. And if you can't support them with either of those two, just please at them at social media or send them a little email and let them know that you see the work they're doing. And yes, it is improving the world because everyone needs a little encouragement at some time. I'm a narcissist. I know we need encouragement because I still need encouragement. You can email me too. Feel free. Anyway, I'm joking about that. Don't email me, but email them and let them know that they're definitely doing wonderful things in the world. Well, that said, I think it's about time for me to finish this out and stop rambling. So just know that wisdom is all around you if you're open to finding it and accepting it. So bye bye from the lovely Will Nona.